Welcome. We are learning the book of Mishlei, Proverbs, chapter 24, written by King Solomon, who is known also as the wisest of men. So here we are with the book of Mishlei, chapter 24, and with the wisdom of King Solomon. So King Solomon starts off with something he addresses several times, which is often people decide that they want to do the wrong things, be on the wrong side because there is so much reward, because it seems like the people who do bad things get rewarded. So King Solomon says, don't even worry about that. He says in verse 1, Al tikane be'anshei ra'a ve'al tit'av lihiyot itam. Do not be jealous of people who do evil, and do not desire to be with them. Even the very desire, even the very wish to be with the people who, men of iniquity, people who do bad, is something that will cause you harm. Why? Because all they're thinking about, even if you're not hanging out with them for the wrong purposes, they are thinking, their head is constantly thinking about how to do wrong to others. People of iniquity are always thinking of how to wrong others, and so don't even try and be with them even when they're not doing that. And everything they speak is sort of headed in that direction. So don't say, oh, I wish I can go to this party, I wish I can go to that party, I wish I can be with these people for whatever reason or the other, when in fact it's only going to bring you down. Next, King Solomon continues, B'chokhmah ibaneh bait. A house is built with wisdom. Now, obviously, King Solomon isn't just talking about a house, but also about a family, a household. And he says that all that takes wisdom. It's not something that just happens. A house, a home, is something that I think someone once said the difference between the house and a home is that a house is something that you build. A home is something that you make. So it's, you can always build a house, but really to build a home is a whole different story. A home will be built with wisdom and with insight and foresight. It will be established. It is only through insight and wisdom that the rooms will be filled. And they will be filled with every wealth and every good blessing and every good thing. So yes, it's easy sometimes to build a house, but to make a home that lasts, to make a home that is going to be there for a long time, that is something not simple at all. And that takes a lot of insight. We always give credit to Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, Zilpah, our foremothers, so to speak, because to build a family, to build a home is something that requires always wisdom. King Solomon continues, sometimes we think that smart people are not strong, but no, it's the wisdom that gives strength. Because like King Solomon said, there can be a wall around the city and all you need is one little nerdy small guy to figure out how to get in, and all that strength is done with. So King Solomon says, a wise person is found in strength, and a man of wisdom always finds more strength. And I believe the following verse is also mentioned on the logo. This was a verse that's similar to it. I see more people joining. Welcome. This verse appears on the logo of the Mossad and other Israeli units, and it goes as follows: You can only win a war with wisdom. You can't win a war with strength. Obviously, strength means a lot, but you have to have wisdom. Chapter 24, verse 6. When you do something, when you go engage in war, it must be done with wisdom. And wisdom and salvation is always achieved through counseling many people. And this is such an important verse because it's so relevant for today. When you are in a difficult situation, Never face it alone. Always ask someone, even if the person is not the smartest person, you're better off speaking, speaking it through. If you have something that's a problem, the more people you discuss it with, sometimes the more you'll get a perspective. Obviously, it doesn't mean you should go and ask every person in the world, but the more people advise you on something, the better off you are. The more perspectives you'll get, even if you don't listen to anything they say, even if you're not going to end up, taking any of their advice. But King Solomon says, "Tshu'a berov yoetz." Salvation comes out of many advisors, of many people speaking through. So whenever you have something, always make sure that you consult others and that you speak to others, because that's how it's solved. There's a famous joke about someone who comes to the rabbi and he says, "Rabbi, should I do this or that?" And the rabbi listens and listens and listens. Finally, the man finishes talking. The rabbi didn't say one word. And then he says, "Thank you so much, Rabbi. You helped me so much." And that's true, because sometimes just discussing things is going to be helpful. So always make sure you discuss important things with lots of people, or at least a few people. Next is verse 7. King Solomon says, "Ramot le'evil chochmot, bashar lo yiftachtiu." A precious gem, a very special diamond. Wisdom is compared to a very special diamond. And so if you give wisdom to a person, make sure that they're going to protect it. If you give too much wisdom to someone who's not going to respect it or treat it properly, then that's like giving a diamond, a ruby, to someone who's very reckless. So if you're wanting to entrust someone with scientific discovery you made or what have you not, don't share that wisdom. Even though in general it is good to share wisdom, sometimes sharing wisdom with someone who's reckless is not going to be helpful and is going to go to the wrong place. Now, sometimes people, unfortunately and sadly, people do wrong to others, and that's an unfortunate thing that's part of life. But what's worse than that is when someone thinks through and conspires to do something. Thank you. When someone conspires, they think of doing evil. So King Solomon says, chapter 24, verse 8, "Mechashev lehareah lo ba'al mezimot iteru." If someone is conspiring to do something bad, then that person is going to be distrusted, and people will always refer to them as someone who's plotting to do negative things. And King Solomon continues in verse 9 and speaks about the importance of, or not so much important as much as the vicissitudes of people who conspire to do bad. If a person thinks to do bad to another person, if they conspire, then that is something that is going to be held against them. And now verse 9 is just so important because it applies to every possible field in life. If you are lax, then in a difficult time, your strength will be diminished. Meaning, if you think about the Titanic, the issue was not that it wasn't strong enough, not that it wasn't big enough. The biggest problem with it was that they didn't have enough lifeboats. That was the biggest issue. And so with so many other things, you can build something strong and everything, but it's the preparing for the worst case scenario that's going to save you. So if you are lazy and lax in preparing for all different scenarios, when the trouble's actually going to come, you will find yourself not in a good place. King Solomon then says a very, very important thing. Try and save those who are taken to death. There's nothing more important than saving a human life. There's nothing really more important than that. And if you can save someone's life, someone who's about to be killed, there's nothing more great than that. And that's part of planning, because if you plan for, like I said, the example of the lifeboats in the Titanic, if you prepare for all scenarios, you will end up saving lives. If you have a flashlight in your house for when the electricity goes out, you'll end up saving yourself a lot of trouble. So always make sure you prepare for a worst case scenario, both physical and spiritual. What if a person ends up in a scenario where they are spiritually or physically in a bad place? They will not be able to say, I didn't know, because you should always make sure you're prepared. God knows if you were able to prepare. God knows if you knew that there's a risk. I just saw a terrible story about someone who was drinking drunk and killed a woman while he was driving. And so who knows if he knew what he was doing? So it says here, God knows exactly what you were thinking, what was in your mind. Someone who's sick, who is God is looking over you, and God will pay every person according to what they've done. The next one is especially good if you have a sweet tooth, what they call achol dvash, eat honey. Achol b'ni dvash ki tov hu, v'nofek matok al chikecha. You should drink honey with your food. You should have honey with your food because it makes it sweeter. Now, what's this talking about? So it continues in verse 14. So too, just like you have some honey in the food. If you had food that had no spice, that no honey, nothing really that made it attractive, it wouldn't work. So too, wisdom. Make sure you're pursuing wisdom. Because just like a person wants to eat delicious food, make sure that you seek wisdom in a way that you find rewarding. If you indeed consume wisdom, if you indeed become smarter and wiser, that is going to give you hope. It is going to give you strength even in difficult times. And your hope will not be cut off because you are prepared. So just like people enjoy consuming honey and sweets, so too you should enjoy consuming wisdom, knowledge, and taking in information. Next is we're about to come to probably the most important lesson of this book. King Solomon says in chapter 24, verse 15, Al te'erov rasha le'neve tzadik. If you are a righteous person should never be ambushed. Al teshaded rivto. Never try and hurt someone who's righteous. Never try hurt anyone, but don't hurt someone who's righteous. Now, sometimes people think, oh, he's this righteous, nerdy guy, so of course I'll be able to, step all over him. King Solomon says now probably the most famous and most important thing. Ki sheva yipol tzadik v'kam. Fall and stumble 7 times and still get up. Such a powerful lesson. So many times we want to give up. Things are difficult, things are tough, and you may feel disappointed in yourself. You may feel like you didn't do what you were supposed to do. King Solomon says, Ki sheva yipol tzadik v'kam. A righteous person falls down 7 times and rises up. Never give up. Always have hope. And that is the most important lesson he has to say. Righteous people, they always fall down 7 times and get up. That was chapter 24. I thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you so much. God willing, we will continue tomorrow, 12 o'clock. I really appreciate it and have a good day. Leithaot. Wish everyone a very, very good day. Yom Tov Lekulam. Ve Shavua Tov. We are learning